Oh, God, I can't think. I need more Mullins.
Even a smile.
In 1998, you couldn't get away from this song. Seriously, it was everywhere. Every radio station, on TV, pretty much the soundtrack for the end of the 90s. It's that half-spoken, half-sung story about a girl in Hollywood who seems to have it all, but feels totally empty inside. We all know the song, but how many of us know the real story behind it? This isn't just some story about a catchy tune. This is about a chance meeting, a single conversation in some tiny LA club that completely changed a musician's life. This is a story of the real Hollywood girl who poured her heart out to a total stranger and ended up inspiring a 90s masterpiece. Before we get started with today's video, if you guys want to support my channel, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And I've been told from a lot of my subscribers that they find themselves unsubscribed from my channel, or they don't see my new videos pop up, so make sure you turn on all notifications. So before all the platinum records and Grammy nominations, Shawn Mullins was your classic struggling musician. Born in Atlanta, Georgia, he grew up listening to his dad's records, storytellers like Chris Christopherson, Ray Charles, and Leonard Cohen. It was at age 4 he picked up his first drumsticks, moving on to cello, guitar, and piano later on. He soon grew interested in harder edge musical styles such as punk, hard rock, and heavy metal, getting into bands like AC/DC and Judas Priest. But getting into music wasn't a straight line for him. He actually went to college on an Army ROTC scholarship. By the time Mullins began attending North Georgia College, now known as University of North Georgia, he'd mastered that instrument well enough, the guitar I'm talking about, that he began writing songs on his own. At this point, his musical interests had widened well beyond hard rock. Specifically, he recalled hearing the first Indigo Girls album and being really influenced by those lyrics. He also admired Bob Dylan's work and felt inspired by the poetry he was reading in his classes. He recalled that had a lot to do with me becoming more acoustic and the thing where you stand on stage with just a guitar. I thought that was really cool. After graduating college in 1991, he followed in the footsteps of his father and brother who joined the Army Reserves, going through officer basic training in Fort Benning. He explained that he'd gone through military training and served in the reserves, which meant he didn't have to go on active duty. Once his training period ended, he wasted no time hitting the road to start his music career. He also at one point played in a power pop band for a while that got some local buzz, but mainstream success felt like a million miles away. He was playing coffee houses and half-empty clubs, just trying to make enough money to get to the next town. Mullins started doing local shows at local Atlanta venue Eddie's Attic, a place where he regularly sold out shows. And for most of the 90s, he was living the life of 1,000 other artists. Just a guy in a minivan with his guitar and his dog named Rhodey, driving across the country playing for whoever was interested. While he wasn't making a ton of money and he was selling CDs at the back of his car, it was enough to survive. He even started his own record label, SMG Records, because he spent 3 frustrating years sending demos to major labels and he got nothing back. His early albums were filled with folk rock songs, which were basically his calling cards, often starting as journal entries about life on the road. You have to think about the late 90s. It was all glossy teen pop and angry nu metal, and here's this guy with an acoustic guitar singing folk stories. He was basically an antique. He said in an interview his big goal was to maybe get enough airplay to sell 20,000 albums a year. That was it. Little did he know he was one conversation away from blowing that goal completely out of the water. So the story really kicks off in 1997 out in LA. Mullins had been making trips to the West Coast for years trying to build a following. He would often play this quirky little spot called Genghis Cohen. It was a Chinese restaurant with a tiny music room in the back with church pews for seats. After playing there for 4 years, he finally sold the place out. Now, of course, he later joked that it was free to get in, and selling the place out meant that 25 people showed up. But still, he was feeling pretty burnt out at a crossroads at this point in his career. After one of these shows, he's packing up his guitar, and a woman named Jody comes up to him. She tells him that she loves his songs and said it would be really cool if a storyteller like him could get a break in the world full of boy bands. Mullins, 9 years into his grind, was pretty skeptical, but then she said, "You know, you're a storyteller. I got a story for you." So they ended up sitting down at a table in the restaurant over some Chinese food. He couldn't offer her a movie part or even any advice. Mullins, being a natural storyteller, just listened. Jody ended up unloading her entire life story for Mullins, and it was a story that could only happen in Hollywood. The very first thing Mullins wrote down in his journal that night became the opening line of the song. She grew up in the Children of the Stars in the Hollywood Hills and the Boulevard.
Grew up with the children of the stars in the Hollywood Hills and the Boulevard.
That single line came directly from their conversation. The lyrics of Lullaby is a rough transcription of that night. Mullins basically became a reporter documenting Jody's confession.
They hung out with folks like Dennis Hopper and Bob Seger and Sonny and Cher.
This line was real. Jody's parents were part of that world. Now, Bob Seger's name was just thrown in by Mullins because he was a big fan. Jody's parents didn't actually know him. And she told Mullins stories about going to swimming parties with the Jacksons, but Mullins decided that it might be a little too much for the song. It shows this girl who has a rich inner life and knows everyone, but feels completely alone. That contrast is really the heart of the song. And here's where things get interesting, the chorus. That's where Mullins, the narrator, steps into the song to offer comfort. In reality, the conversation was very different. Mullins said the real Jody was actually a really upbeat person with an incredible smile. She wasn't some sad girl hanging her head in a bar. She was confidently sharing her history and story. It was Mullins who took her story of a crazy childhood and gave it that melancholy feeling. He saw her pain, and in it, he recognized that universal feeling of being completely overwhelmed by life. We can all relate to it. As he listened to her, a song started to form in his head. But it wasn't a love song. It was something else entirely, a song of pure, simple reassurance. So the lullaby wasn't really for her. It was for the character he had created, a composite of all the lonely souls in Los Angeles. He wrote the song almost immediately when he departed LA for Phoenix, admitting to the Atlanta Journal, "I journal constantly. I was headed from LA to Phoenix, and I was in the middle of the desert. I pulled out my guitar and wrote that little hook, Rockabye, and the part at the beginning." He added how when he came back from Colorado, he wrote the lyrics. Musically, it was totally unique too. He and his collaborator Brandon Bush took a classic breakbeat from a James Brown song. They slowed it way down to get that heavy hypnotic boom pop feel. Over that, he laid down that gentle circular acoustic guitar part. And then came the delivery, that half-spoken conversational verse that pulled you right into the story, followed by that big soaring chorus. The moment they recorded the demo, they knew they had something special. They just had no idea the world was ready to listen. Lullaby found its way onto Mullins' 1998 release Soul's Core, but Lullaby wasn't an instant hit. So here's how it happened. The song first got out there because of a forward-thinking radio station in his hometown of Atlanta, 99X. They started playing it. Mullins had sent DJ Steve Craig a copy of Lullaby, and Craig played it on his program titled Locals Only, which featured music from Atlanta and Athens-based artists. Leslie Fram, the program director for the station, told the Atlanta Journal, "I was blown away. The song starts with that Lou Reed vocal speak thing, but then the chorus hits you. It's amazingly hooky. I called Shawn into my office and told him we're going to add Lullaby to our playlist. Get ready because your life is going to change." A local fire started to spread. People were calling in, requesting that weird hypnotic story song. Soon enough, he'd sold around 6,000 copies of his indie CD just in Atlanta record stores. Mullins was taken aback by the song's success, thinking that he would have never gotten famous from radio, but rather from building a devoted fan base who took note of his live shows. That grassroots buzz caught the attention of major labels. Yep, the same ones who had ignored his demos for years. He said over 25 different labels were suddenly trying to sign him. He ended up going with Columbia Records, who saw a huge potential in the track. Now keep in mind, 2 weeks had gone by from the time 99X played the song to when he actually signed his label deal. He only signed with Columbia because they were home to some of his musical heroes, including Bruce Springsteen and Bob Dylan. Columbia then officially released the album Soul's Core in the summer of 1998, and Lullaby was sent to radio stations across the country. And from there, the song just exploded. For a guy who just wanted to sell 20,000 records a year, the numbers were insane. He was soon selling 30,000 copies a week, and Lullaby peaked at number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart and hit number 1 on the Adult Top 40 chart. It was also a top 10 hit on the Alternative Rock chart. It soon went global also, reaching the top 10 in Australia, Canada, as well as the UK.
Friends tell her she's so pretty.
Suddenly, Shawn Mullins was everywhere. The guy who used to play for 25 people in the back of a Chinese restaurant was now on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. And in a crazy twist, the other guest on the show that night was Cher, one of the very celebrities name dropped in his song Lullaby. He said she had just had a big smile on her face the whole time he performed that night. The album Soul's Core went on to be certified platinum in the United States, selling over 1 million copies. And the song Lullaby earned him a Grammy nomination for Best Male Pop Vocal Performance. Mullins was 30 years old by the time the song took off. The rest of the album seemed to have particular places in mind, with titles like September in Seattle or The Gulf of Mexico. Mullins went on to reveal just how much that one song Lullaby changed his life, telling Night Rider News Service how 6 of his 9 previous records got local airplay on Atlanta radio, but none of the songs ended up getting national attention. He remarked, "I could never get booked at this club I always wanted to play in Chicago. I just drew 800 people in the city's biggest club, the Metro. That's what radio is doing for me. I can't believe it." The second single released from the album, Shimmer, found some success, peaking at number 5 on the adult alternative airplay chart, but it never matched the success of Lullaby. But Mullins never grew to resent the song that defined his career. Unlike some artists, he embraced it. He knows it's the reason people know his name. In his own words, let's face it, it's the one that brought me to the dance. And what about Jody, you're maybe wondering, the girl who started it all? Well, after the song blew up, she got in touch with Mullins. She was happy for him and probably a little shocked to find herself a small anonymous part of music history. In 1999, Mullins contributed the song What Is Life, a cover of the George Harrison tune, to the Adam Sandler movie Big Daddy. After his follow-up record 2000's Beneath the Velvet Sun, the whirlwind of major label fame began to settle. Mullins felt immense pressure from his label to write another huge hit. The label had advanced him a ton of money and wanted their investment back. He told Songfacts, "I won't say that I felt threatened, but it was damn near it. It was these guys in expensive suits up at 550 Madison Avenue in New York, and they're like, don't f this up." The first set of songs he came up with were rejected by the label for not sounding commercial enough, so he worked with one of his friends and a musician from Nashville, and one of the songs they came up with was Everywhere I Go. Now, when it came to publishing splits on the song, things got pretty ugly, with the session player from Nashville, who Mullins claimed didn't write any of the song, ended up suing Mullins. The matter ended up going to court and soured the musician's feelings on the track. As a result, he stopped playing the song live, despite it being the biggest song off the record. It peaked at number 3 on the adult alternative airplay chart. Then in 2002, Mullins tried something completely different. He formed the acoustic rock supergroup The Thorns with fellow singer-songwriters Matthew Sweet and Pete Droge. The band released one critically acclaimed self-titled album and toured extensively. Their cover of the Jayhawks Blue got some radio airplay, and their sole record peaked at number 62 in the States before the members returned to their solo careers in 2004. Mullins then returned to his independent roots, signing with Vanguard Records. It was in 2006 he released Ninth Ward Pick and Parlor, an album partially recorded in New Orleans at a studio house before it was destroyed by Hurricane Katrina. The album produced the single Beautiful Wreck, which became a number 2 hit on the adult album alternative chart. Throughout the 2000s and 2010s, he continued to release a steady stream of acclaimed albums, including Honeydew, Light You Up, and 2015's My Stupid Heart, all while embracing his role as a traveling troubadour. He also found success as a co-writer, penning the Zac Brown Band's number 1 hit, Toes. I got my toes in the water, ass in the sand, not a word. The song Lullaby got a prominent placement in Season 6 of the NBC TV show The Office in the episode titled Murder. In the episode, Michael has the Scranton branch play a murder mystery game to distract them from rumors that Dunder Mifflin is filing for bankruptcy. 5 minutes into the episode, amid rumors of bankruptcy, Michael is freaking out in his office, but wanting to put on a brave face. He's seen blasting music throughout the office, and the song he's playing is none other than Shawn Mullins' Lullaby. His co-manager Jim walks in and turns off the tune.
We have to do something because people are losing it out there, wondering what's going to happen.
Oh, God, I can't think. I need more Mullins.
Even a smile.
On the Office Ladies podcast, the show's line producer, Randy Cordray, revealed that the show paid $45,000 just to use the song in the episode. Was the joke worth it? Yeah, I'd say so. It's probably one of the more memorable moments from that episode. Now, getting back to Shawn Mullins, it's pretty amazing how one single conversation can totally change the course of music history. 20 years after its release, Mullins actually re-recorded the entire Soul's Core album, titling it Soul's Core Revival. He said the songs mean something different to him now that he's older. The project ended up featuring two distinct versions of Lullaby, one stripped down on acoustic and another fully rearranged with his touring band Soul Carnival.
It's gonna be alright, rockabye. Everything's gonna be alright, rockabye.
And that's the true legacy of Lullaby. It's more than just a 90s hit. It's a timeless piece of storytelling. It's a lightning in a bottle moment where a real, unfiltered story broke through all the noise. It's proof that sometimes the most profound art comes not from a grand design, but from a quiet moment of honesty in the corner of a noisy room. A reminder that sometimes everything's going to be all right. More than 2 decades later, Lullaby is still here. It's way more than just 90s nostalgia. So why has this song lasted when so many other hits have faded? The answer is in its timelessness, its human core. The song isn't about the 90s. It's about feeling lost and needing someone, anyone, to tell you that it's going to be okay. That simple message, everything's going to be all right, it just doesn't expire. We all need it from time to time. It was a musical security blanket for the anxieties of the late 90s, and it works just as well for the anxieties of today. It's a 3-minute therapy session that asks for nothing in return. So what do you guys think? Have you ever had a song felt like it was telling your exact story? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to read about it. Let me know in the comment section. And if you guys enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for more stories behind your favorite songs and bands. That brings us to the end of today's video, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in Rock Culture Stories. Take care.